Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman from Michigan, and I thank my friend from South Carolina for their support of this bill. I also want to thank Mr. Speaker, Chairman Lucas, and Ranking Member Peterson for their help in bringing this bill to the floor. Without their help, truly, we would not be here today. But it is an honor not only to work with them both, but their staffs on this legislation. And so I'd like to also thank the entire North Carolina delegation for their support. On March 12th of 2014, just this year, just a few months ago, Officer Jason Criss and his canine Meadows were shot and killed in Burke County, North Carolina. He was off duty at the time, and the call came at home, and when it came in, he was very quick to respond and participate in a manhunt to track down someone, a suspect who had committed 2 murders. It was the kind of selfless service that was not unique and not a one-time thing for Officer Criss. Just 5 days later, a memorial service was held in his honor, and we had thousands of law enforcement officers from all across the region come to honor his service, as well as other elected officials and Governor Pat McCrory. The bill we're considering today would name the United States Forest Service building in the Grandfather Ranger District there in Nebo, North Carolina, as the Jason Criss Forest Service building in honor of Officer Criss' sacrifice. You know, Officer Criss, or Jason, as his family and friends knew him, was 38 years old, lived in Marion, North Carolina, and McDowell County, and part of the western part of North Carolina. He had graduated from the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in 2005 and had become an officer for the Forest Service. He and his dog, Meadows, routinely assisted in hunts for suspects in McDowell, Burke, Avery, Watauga, and Caldwell counties. Criss, he also served as a law enforcement reserve officer in the McDowell County Sheriff's Office. He actually served also as a deputy sheriff there prior to going to work for the U.S. Forest Service. His wife, Amanda, and his 2 sons, Garrett and Logan, his parents and sisters and 2 brothers, are a reminder that many times when we have people that serve, that there are other people that are involved in that service as well. And so I want to thank them today. Perhaps the best words were by some of his friends at his memorial that called him warm-hearted, always looking out for others, a warrior, and yes, someone who even plays practical jokes. The release that came from his family said Jason was a loving father, a loving husband, and a great friend. He was his wife's best friend and the love of her life. He loved the Lord and was an honest Christian man who gave his life protecting his friends. He loved his job with a passion, and the only thing that he loved more than his job and his family and his friends were really his service to his country and his county. He died a hero. However, he was a hero well before that day. Meadows was also a family member, and he was loved like a child, and Jason loved working with Meadows, and they wanted to make sure that they said thank you to the agency for their hard work, and thanks for all the prayers and calls and visits from family members and friends. It's an honor for me today to not only recognize Officer Criss, but all the first responders who missed birthdays, anniversaries, dinners and gatherings to answer the call to protect and serve our communities. Every day, Mr. Speaker, we expect them to answer the call, serving silently and selflessly. We also expect them to come home. Some do not. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage the passage of H.R. 4360 to name the Grandfather Ranger District Forest Service building in Nebo, North Carolina, in honor of Officer Jason Criss, the Jason Criss Forest Service building And I yield back.
The gentleman from North Carolina yields back. The gentleman from Michigan is